Hey there all, it's that Slasher Elijah, and I hope you all are doing well. Today, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant, which might give you the idea that, oh, this is gonna be another organized and fun discussion video. Well, that might not exactly be the case, and many of you probably won't find it very fun. For us to begin, I'd like to tell you all a personal story from one of my games a few weeks back. I was playing as the Unknown on the Temple of Purgation, the Plagues map, and during this game, I was struggling to keep up. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say I was trying to record footage for the stealth build video, but even then, I wasn't really doing too hot. The team that I did go up against knew what they were doing, and I kept making multiple small mistakes that inevitably led to my downfall. As I'm sure you could probably guess from the title of this video, this team in particular was running Flashbang, and God, they were making some pretty damn good use of it as well. So, come the end game, I'm chasing down a survivor who has a flashbang in their hand. I can see the flashbang in their hand. Earlier on in the match, this survivor also used one against me, so I automatically assume, hey, they probably have it, right? Another survivor also comes up to me and enters chase as well, which I think is kinda odd because they both are infected with, or one of them is infected with UVX, not injured, and one of them was injured but not infected with UVX. I do a UVX on them. They both now have UVX. Both of them are now injured, and they both jump into lockers side by side, which is in a surrounding stone wall loop. I can probably flash up a picture of it on screen for you all because you all will know what I'm talking about. Anyways, they both have flashbangs. They're both infected with UVX, right? I don't have a whole lot of options here. By this point, I am aware that the both of them did, in fact, have flashbang. I do have a choice here. I could either wait it out and see if I could potentially bait them into messing up, jumping out of the locker prematurely, which I tried that. God, I fucking tried that. Or instead, I could have opened up the locker, tanked the flashbang, tanked potentially a head-on stun. I can't remember for the life of me if they were running head-on. But I could have tanked it all and turned a potential 3k into just a 1k, that being a survivor I killed earlier on into the match. Ultimately, I ended up getting impatient because, guess what? We were during the end game, right? All the generators were completed. I don't want to wait an hour sitting in front of a locker with UVX out just to guarantee myself that 3k. And that kind of fucks with me a little bit. Ultimately, I did get impatient, and rather than just attempt to grab one of the two out of the locker and tank that entirely, I actually shot UVX out at a separate survivor outside of it, the only other survivor. And I shot it out at them in hopes of infecting them and potentially turning that 3k into a 4k. This one action allowed all three of them to escape and teabag, and in the endgame chat, they were basically making fun of me, like, oh, you can't wait out the hour, oh, boo-hoo, and what have you. And God, I mean, on my Twitter, I talked about this. When it flashed on screen, go follow that Slasher Elijah on Twitter. I talked about this quite a lot on there because this was prior to my my 2-week break that I went on. But God, something about that one match made me so fucking upset. Like, I don't know. It's a video game. You know, we should be playing these for our own pleasure. But God, there's just something with the way that they treated me afterwards, as if ending the match was purely on my terms and my terms alone. That fucking made me mad, dude. Like, you could have jumped out of the locker at any point, but at the same time, I'm biased. They shouldn't have to feel the need to jump out of the locker to end the match, just as I shouldn't have to feel the need to open up the locker to end a match. It's fair. It's not fair, but, you know, neither one of us should be in that situation. Now, the reason that I bring this up altogether, despite this occurring several weeks ago, is because recently there has been a clip that is spreaded out on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you call it, featuring almost the exact situation where on Dead Dog Saloon, towards the back of the map, next to the windmill, I probably will flash the clip on screen for you all. Two survivors enter a locker, and the killer starts eating stun after stun, blind after blind. And I was looking at him like, oh my god, this is terrible. Because basically what they were doing was a little something that you used to be able to do with flashlights, but they completely removed it. That being, one survivor would jump into a locker, like purposefully get grabbed out of the locker, and then the other survivor would jump out of the other locker, run over to the killer mid-animation, blind them during the animation, literally the point where the killer has no control, and they'd get out and they'd just jump in the locker. They'd do that over and over and over again. Thankfully, that got removed, but you can do it with Flashbang. Which kind of shows how Flashbang and I guess, like, throwables, I'm gonna call them throwables, are flawed, because it's not just Flashbang. Like, there are the holiday season ones, like there's the New Year's firecracker, there's the winter party starter, or what have you. They have a bunch of them, bunch of different versions of it. But they're all kind of flawed, seeing as there's literally no way to counter it, and I wasn't met with that at all, you know, at least in terms of the replies to this clip. I looked down into the replies to this clip, and I'm thinking, oh, people will hopefully see my kind of point of view on how this item is kind of inherently flawed. Why is it that, oh, we can remove something involving flashlights where, hey, we can basically put killers into this uncounterable situation, but with Flashbang, oh, it's fine because they can only do it a limited amount of times. You could do it a limited amount of times with flashlight too, if you did it enough times. Like, if the killer ate blind after blind after blind, yeah, eventually you'd run out of juice. But nonetheless, I looked at these replies, and I was not met with what I had expected at all. Now, before I'm met with the, oh, boo-hoo, the killer main is crying over Flashbang locker text, wah, let me make a couple things extremely clear. This was technically in the game, as I previously stated a couple months back, just in a much worse state involving flashlights. And even then, it was just as insufferable, if not worse. Survivors are not responsible for a killer's fun, just as killers are not responsible for the survivor's fun either. On the replies to this clip, I did see a few commonly discussed ideals, I guess, and I'd like to go through them with you all. A. Whatever happened to killers aren't responsible for your fun? B. Ain't no way people are actually mad over this. And C. The same people complaining about this are the same killer mains who camp and tunnel. Which, God, I can make an entire fucking video over that last one. But before I get into that response, let me talk about A and B. As a killer, I am not responsible for your fun. You are correct. I'm not, just as you're not responsible for mine. But you can't just throw replies around like, ain't no way people are mad about this, when genuinely no one, like if you can find me a single person on the other end that would want to be on the receiving end of this, then I commend you. Please, by all means, find that individual for me. Because regardless of what side you play over the other and how you would have handled it, I can almost guarantee you all that you all wouldn't be particularly happy about being stunned and blinded over and over and over again, and especially if there was no counter to that, you know? In this situation, hypothetically, there are a maximum of 4 survivors. Let's just say that, right? As opposed to, oh, there are only 3 alive. Oh, there are only 2 alive. Let's say that all 4 survivors are alive. You could leave, but you are leaving literally half the team. You are leaving pressure, right? Right there, let's say both survivors are injured. If you leave, they reset, all that pressure, gone, right? The only quote-unquote counter to this is, oh, I'll just tank a few stuns. Oh, I'll just tank a few blinds. It'll be over. It's because, you know, they'll be out of flashbangs. With my own personal experience, the 2 individuals that ran into the locker were weakened with UVX, as I stated before. I had an option. I could have very well secured that 3K, but in order for me to personally do that, I'd have to wait out an hour. I'd have to wait out the hour to have the server shut down, and yeah, I would have won. But honestly, I don't want to do that. I think that's fucking bullshit. And quite frankly, I shouldn't be forced to. I mean, I guess no one was forcing me to. I could have very well lost. But here's the thing. I play this game to win, as many other people do, you know? Nonetheless, no one should be forced to essentially prolong the game until the server ends just because we enjoy the thrill of winning. That's dumb. For everyone maybe getting mad at me over this, saying things like, oh, it's just one loss, dude. That one loss shows a flaw in the flashbang. You know? Once again, I'm going to ask a question that I asked earlier. Why is it that we remove the ability for flashlights to be able to do the locker tech? That's what I'm going to refer to it as. Why is it that we remove that? And yet we keep an item in the game that can do the exact same thing. I'm not voting for the removal of flashbang by any step of the way, but I think it should be changed. Absolutely, I think it should be changed. I don't know. Now, my response to C. The same people complaining about this are the same killer mains who camp and tunnel. Here's the thing. I want to tell you all something that I think will come as a shock to the large majority of the community, because I literally see it every day, and I'm kind of surprised that it's not talked about more often. I am an individual. All of you within this community are individuals. There are days where I may directly try to avoid tunneling, making only we'll call it 2 kills a game, right? Only killing 2 survivors at a time and letting the other 2 leave, so on and so forth. There are also days where I will camp, and I will tunnel, and I will try to win, just as I'm sure that you all will also have those days. The fact that we're still categorizing survivors and killers into groups, as opposed to looking at them like individuals, is embarrassing. We are literally building stereotypes for the other side. I know it's hard not to, but continuing this will only drive the 2 sides further and further apart. The fact that we're still categorizing it as, oh, you're a Wraith man, you probably camp and tunnel, or, oh, the same people complaining about locker techs, something that behavior has directly removed because it's uncounterable, are the same people who camp the basement with Bubba, you know? Like, it's dumb. Let's stop. Alright? I can make an entire, in fact, I will make an fucking entire video about this right after this recording, so fucking stay tuned for that, about just stereotypes in Dead by Daylight, and God, how fucking many of them there are. Got a little sidetracked there. I apologize. Moving on back to the point of this video, Flashbang. For this tech to be able to work, I'd like to kind of explain it to you all. Did you all know that you don't actually need to have this flashbang in front of the killer to have it executed? The flashbang in every single version of this is always to the side of the killer, which is very odd. Incredibly, incredibly odd. Seeing as how, you know, idea is, oh, if I look at the flashbang, I'll probably be blinded. And the fact I'm not looking at the flashbang, I don't know. It's very odd. And once again, makes it uncounterable, you know? I don't know. With that, I'd like to approach you all with a proposal. It's kind of like a slight rework to the flashbang entirely to make this blind effect happen during the explosion portion of the flashbang animation, but also have it occur within 5 meters on the killer, whenever this explosion is present anywhere on the killer's screen. Right? Now, the killer screen code, if that's what you want to call it, has already been implemented into stalking features on both Myers and Ghostface, so making this a part of just Flashbang in general shouldn't be too difficult, but then again, I'm not a game developer, so I guess I truly wouldn't know that. The 5 meters away portion, I figured could allow some kind of counter to the necessity of the explosion needing to be viewed to blind. This was an idea I came up with during my own personal encounter with the Flashbang Squad. Let's make it so A, we're actually increasing the skill needed to use this item, while getting rid of the bullshit locker text where I get blinded after being locked into an animation, right? It would make saves, like throwing flashbangs around corners, predicting that the killer will eventually look there, more and more common, therefore increasing the skill ceiling behind it. In conclusion, guys, these experiences, and more so that this clip I've talked about, shows what is wrong with the flashbang, and not necessarily the players. Survivors can run a stun build if they get enjoyment from it. That's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I have done that on several occasions. If I got mad at that, I would be a hypocrite. I can run a slug build if I'd like, you know? But at the end of the day, we need to be able to take a step back and ask ourselves, is there really anything survivors or killers can do to easily counter this? But hey, I don't know. All of these are just me in my opinions. If you all do not agree with them or would like to discuss them, please comment down below. As always, once again, thank you all for watching. Please consider subscribing and liking the video. Also, I have a Discord server. If you all would like to talk to me directly, especially about these opinions and thoughts and feelings, please feel free to join it. There will be a link provided in the description down below. Everyone, please be like the unknown and do not deny yourself your happiness. And as always, have a terrific day.